Fidel Castro is dead, and the world's leaders and media experts are all giving their interpretation of this politician. What makes a brutal politician? Is it what they promise before they gain power and how they ignore those promises after attaining it? Is it what they do to their own people, or what they do to the world of other people for the sake of oil or rubber or tea, or just for an out-and-out lust of power? Maybe a desire to try out a new weapon of mass destruction. No advantage to testing it where there are no people, because then you can only imagine the carnage it will cause. Is a brutal politician one who sees abuses taking place in their country and promises, if elected, or if helped to overthrow a corrupt regime, will drain the swamp, clean up the mess? Then, when elected, reneges on many of the promises that got them elected. Hillary for prison is one of the big reasons Trump got elected. You know, claiming the dignity of equality for all under the law. And now, almost the instant he became president-elect, he says he does not want to hurt the Clintons. If Hillary is guilty, is President-elect Trump saying putting any criminal in jail is wrong because it hurts the criminal? Or is he saying that putting an elite criminal in jail is too painful for the elite criminal, but okay for the rest of us? Before winning, equal laws for every American was his promise, his brag. After election, he shows that he is like all the elite. Politicians and other important people are above the law. Sounds like a chapter taken out of the books written by Fidel and Che and Mayo and Pol Pot and I do not know if Hillary is guilty and should be in prison. Nor am I saying that Mr. Trump will be a brutal politician like his predecessors, bombing innocent people around the world, but rather that we as a people, and especially a people led by biased media, corrupt politicians, predisposed history professors, are always subjected to them condemning what is over there, while justifying the exact same double standard of injustices that are active over here. And this twisting of history and historical facts is true regardless of the country's name. Canada, Russia, United States, United Kingdom, France, India, Australia, Korea. The list goes on, with the last count being 196 countries, or 196 versions of who is the good, the bad, and the ugly. Einstein explained it best through his theory of relativity. Abuse of power is relative to your station in life. So the elite of Cuba and Canada and America do not see their leaders, with reference to their own lives, in the same oppressive light as do those who must do the work to support the leaders and the elite. If you are always eating caviar, it matters not who is your leader. It matters not if your leader does not make everyone equal and subject to the law. You don't care. You are eating caviar. Your life is great. But the elite leaders of Cuba, Canada, and America see clearly the brutality of government in every other country, and even tell their own people to thank God they don't live over there or over there. This makes you feel better when they come to repossess your home because of corrupt banking in your own country. Leaving politics to politicians is like expecting the cat to look after the mouse without supervision. On rare occasions, as seen on social media sites like Facebook, videos are presented that proves it does happen, but most often the cat stays loyal to its nature and eats the mouse. So also politicians and power seekers stay true to their nature. They like to feed themselves well, and as long as it is not a relative or friend or another elite or a fellow club member, they don't care who they eat. Che Guevara and Fidel Castro were looked on in much the same fashion in their day by the struggling masses of Cuba as Mr. Trump was in the U.S., or Mr. Trudeau in Canada, or Mr. Modi in India. As saviors, we as a people are always looking for a savior, be that religious or political. And if you look at history, it was the brutality of leaders that made and makes ordinary people turn to one form of religion or another that speaks of, that promises the arrival of a Savior who will come and save the earth, hoping that that Savior will fix everything. Then history showed us that many of those who led after the religious saviors who did appear left often became as corrupt as the leaders who got us praying for the coming of a religious savior in the first place. And so now we, having lost faith in religious leadership and religious worship, have turned our hopes toward hope in the form of a political savior. But a political savior will be as powerless as our religious saviors have been once the political savior leaves office. Those who follow will disavow the good works of their predecessor and once again advance their own or their friends' agendas. As Shakespeare said, "The evil that men do lives after them. The good is oft interred with their bones." Personally, I believe in the Christian message and the ideology of democracy. But I am not so gullible as to believe that a political savior will show up and fix forever our need to guard against inner struggles, which will often leave us victims of the selfish, greedy, mean, corrupt, power-seeking political princes or princesses of darkness, regardless of whether they arrived via the jungles of South America like Fidel Castro, or from a gold-plated Trump Tower in the middle of New York. These human shortcomings, these human traps, often referred to as original sin, are the struggles humans have fought against from the start and will need to fight against to the end. Therefore, it is up to each of us to be part of the mechanism that steers our luxury liner. While the ship is sailing, we cannot expect to sunbathe on the deck in peace and security, whilst knowing, because we have no safety valves in place, that the odds are high that the captain and crew are going through our personal items and skimming off the gold for themselves. We must be involved. We must be constantly alert. We must adopt the Barnes theory of voting with its value vote ballot. We must demand a voice in our future, in our lives. You have yourselves a great day. Bill Barnes, developer of the Barnes theory of voting and designer of the value vote ballot.